Hello everybody. Today I'm going to work on the chase truck, see if we get it fixed. I found this wiring harness one day laying next to it. Wasn't sure what it was to. I got underneath it, searched around, did find the end where it went, but just had no idea where it connected. So I just have two ends here. And plus a boot. So I'm like, it's got to go through the firewall somewhere. So after that it happened and I found this, we noticed that the check engine light was on the truck. And I said, I got underneath, I searched around, found the end. I also found some other wires that were chewed off that went to the oil filter. So fixed those and still couldn't find out where this went. Searched, ended up going to the Ford dealer, talking with them, and found out that this is the wire harness to the crank position sensor. And on this truck, the crank position sensor is inside the transmission housing, bell housing. And this is the boot that protects that, keeps it sealed. So kind of looked at it and did a little research. I'm gonna try to get it fixed. One of the issues we're having with the truck is it has an extended start from this not being in there, and I'll show you that. So when I go to start it, I just let go of the key and then it starts. And then plus, if you hear it, it sounds like it's underwater. So we'll go ahead and give it our best shot, get underneath there and see if we get it fixed. Gonna let it cool down a little bit because I did just show up here with it. But we might get underneath there and see if we could at least get the wire harness rewired in. I picked up one from the Ford dealer, so it's a new pigtail for it. Because as you see on that harness I had, there's no pigtail for it, no connector. So that's still inside, connected to the sensor. So I'll have to get that out, rewired up. And then I picked up some heat shield. Not ideal what I wanted to get. I was hoping for like the tape. So you see on the harness we have, how it has heat shield and wire on it. Couldn't find any of that. Went to several auto places and nobody had any of that. So I got that. We'll just wrap it up with that and I think it'll work. So I said first thing I'll get underneath there and see if I work on the wiring. So I'm underneath the truck. I'll kind of show you what I'm dealing with. And so here's the wire, other than the wiring harness. So I gotta try to get the pigtail added onto that and clean it up. And then I'll try to get to show you. Right over here in that hole is where the sensor's at. So I gotta be able to rewire this, get that other plug off of the sensor out of there, and try to get it plugged in. So not gonna be the easiest task, but we'll get it done. I'm gonna try to start cutting this shield off here. So I got the wire separated and exposed. I do have a little bit of damage a little bit further up, but I just don't know if I have enough wire once I add on to still plug in. So what I'll probably do is just put some heat shrink over it, on it, and shrink it down and seal it that way. So you guys can see up in there. So the problem I'm running into is I don't know which wire goes to which on the new pigtail. So I think what I'm going to do is try to get the clip out of there, and hopefully there's enough wiring there on that'll help me identify which wire goes to which. So I say right now I'm going to go ahead and put some heat shrink on these wires where they're frayed a little bit and seal them up while the truck still cools down some. So go ahead and get those done. So I got is a heat gun. So I'm just gonna slide. Hope you guys can see. I'm just gonna slide this heat shrink up the wire. Like that. And I'll go ahead and get this one on. So I have them slid up there. Get you a little bit closer so you see. I got them slid up there so where the wire was frayed, covering that. So now I'll just take my heat gun. So got those heat shrinked on there. That's going to protect these wires from touching where the coating was frayed. So, and we'll be able to keep it as long as we can to be able to plug back in. So the next thing, it's cooling down some, still a little warm to touch. So let it cool down a little more, and then we'll try to get that clip out of there so we tell which wire goes to which. Well, what I ended up having to do is I just went ahead and pulled the sensor out. So I was struggling to try to get the clip off of it. So it was just easier to pull it, and fortunately there's no more wires to it. So I'm having to try to figure out now which wire goes into which one of these on the new harness. Because the new harness, they're all black wires. So I did go ahead and put some clips on it, butt connectors on it, kind of be ready while it was cooling down, heat shrink on it. So now I gotta try to figure out which wire goes to which one and get it wired up. So I have to go do a little searching. So let me go search and see what I can find out. Well, did a little researching, and I did find out which wire goes to where. So go ahead and get underneath there and get it wired up, and then get the sensor back installed. So back underneath the truck, I'm going to get these wired up. So I figured out position 3 is a yellow wire. So I went ahead and bent this wire over as 1. This will be 2, 3. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and get these stripped up top real quick so that we could get them connected. So I've got the wire stripped. And now I'll crimp the wires on. So I got my cheat sheet. I just want to make sure, double check. It's not gonna be easy to do it all again. So it said my position 3 on the plug is yellow and orange. 2 is the green and white, and then 1 is the green and violet. So I said I'll just double check. It's real hard to see the numbers on the plug. So this one is 3 right here, which is yellow. So we'll go ahead and turn that one. And then 2 is the green and white. And 1 is the green and violet. Oh, got them all gripped on there. I'm going to put this H wrench on there beforehand. Now we'll slide that up. So, got all the wires crimped together, got them heat shrinked. So now I'm going to go ahead and wrap them up so I can get it back in place. So I got the wire harness wrapped with some, it's like aluminum tape stuff. It's more made for like exhaust, but that's all I could get for it. But it'll add some protection, keep some heat away from it. So now we'll go ahead and get the sensor back in and get it hooked up, get it plugged in. So let's get that done. So what I did to be able to put this sensor back in is I went ahead and taped my socket to my extension, so I don't want to lose that. And probably what I'll do is I'll take and I'll tape the bolt just a little bit to the socket, just to try to hold it in place so I don't drop it inside the bell housing, because if we do that, that'll cause a lot of problems. We'll try to spend a lot of time trying to fish it out, and if we can't get it out, we might have to pull transmission. So we'll take our time, be as careful as we can. I'll try to position you to watch. Maybe I'll see what I'm doing, but it's real tight up in there, and with my arms and stuff, I block out a lot. So I'll see if I can get a position. If not, I'll show you when I'm done. Well, finally got that sensor back in place, got the wiring back on it and the cover. So it was pretty tough. I didn't expect it to take that long, but did get it done. I'm gonna go ahead and change, we're gonna change in the fuel filter real quick so we get this all wrapped up. So to change the fuel filters in this truck, there's 2 of them. There's one down here on the frame rail, one up in the engine compartment. So what I did first is I went ahead and pulled the plug on this one so it'll drain all the fuel out of it into a bucket. And then, so whenever I take that down, won't get fuel all over. And then the second one we gotta replace is up here. And this is it right here. So a little bit easier on this one. But maybe why that one's draining, we'll go ahead and replace this upper one. So now I'm going to go ahead and replace the filter in the frame rail. So tools we'll need for that is going to be a 10 millimeter wrench or socket. Probably 2 of them, but I got a crescent. Got my 10mm. We're gonna need a 32mm socket, 1/2 inch ratchet for the socket, screwdriver to pull the O-ring, possibly an extension. So those are what we'll need. We'll go ahead and get underneath there and get it replaced. So as you can see, I have already I've already pulled this drain plug. It's a fuel, or that's a water separator plug. So unpulled that. Next thing is I got this bracket right here. I have to pull off here and then get the wiring off, and then I'll be able to start unscrewing the housing. So go ahead and get that done. So I pulled off on the bracket. Just get out of the way. Now I gotta start unscrewing the housing. Bracket, I'll get all of it. So that's it now. You see, pretty dirty filter. I won't wait too long to replace it last. So we're doing it. We'll put it in there. Diesel's in there. So I'll walk out a little bit. Oh, you see, filter's pretty dirty. I'm gonna like this housing out. Put the new filter in it. So I've got a new filter. So here's the O-ring, so we'll replace it. And here's the new filter. You see how much nicer that is. We'll put this in the housing. It pops in there. And I'll go ahead and place this O-ring up here. Somewhere else, for it. Right here. Take the screwdriver. Get it underneath it. Maybe. And pull it out there. There's the O-ring. And wipe it a little bit. So the O-ring. Just go back in the same groove. There's the O-ring there. So now we should go take the filter out. So put it back on. I'm going to put the plug back in it. That's coming out. We'll stop anything that doesn't come out. And so I'll put it back right there. And I'll put it back out. There, stop. Make sure you get tight enough so we'll wipe down a little bit. Bring the door. First we'll bring the door back on. Bracket back on. Wiring harness back on. So that's tight. So that's how we do the lower filter. So now we'll go back up top and prime the system. So now we need to prime the truck. Now we'll do that as we'll cycle the key. I don't know if you can hear it, but you hear the pump running. So that's going to start getting all the fuel. Move back up. Just hear it. Now the fuel pump just shut off, so it primed the system. But we might go ahead and cycle it again. Turn it off. So it's running again. I know it's kind of hard to hear, but You hear it running through that filter. So what I'll do, I'll cycle it one more time so we can hear it. As you could hear it running and priming, so we might cycle it a few more times. It's still making a lot of noise, so like I said, we'll keep cycling it. It shouldn't run that long. Should already have the system pressured up, so it's still working, getting it all primed. So I'll just go ahead and keep cycling it, and then we'll go ahead and start it up. So it's still running a bit. I've cycled it quite a bit of times, so what we'll do is go ahead and try to start it. Well, it started up, but it still has that extended start. I was hoping putting that crank position wire back on was going to take care of that, but we still have a check engine light on. So what I might do is go ahead and pull the battery cables off and let it reset and see if that takes care of it. So we'll go ahead and do that. So I went ahead and took the battery cables off, and what I'll do is should reset the computer. Hopefully take the code out that it was showing. I'm sure it was a code about the crank position sensor. So we'll go and give it another shot and see how it starts. Well, I'm not too sure. So it still has that extended start, and I'm not sure why. Like I said, I figured that crank position sensor would have fixed that. So I guess it's either two things: is the sensor is actually bad now, or may have wired it wrong. But that's about the limitations of my skills. So I think we'll have to get it over to a mechanic and see what they say why it has that extended start. So, but please like our videos, subscribe to our channel, and leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.